These guys enjoying walking around here in the Museum of Chicago History?
Enjoying yourselves? Learning a lot?
Learning about the placards, reading all the information?
You all look like you're from out of town.
Guys look foreign, like you're from Detroit or something.
Yeah, something. Yeah, something.
See, me and John here, we're from here. We're from Chicago.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. From 131st and Pulaski over there.
Yeah, Addison and the Expressway.
Literally underneath the expressway. That's
Yes, yeah, it was actually. Well, my dad lost the shop at Ford Plant, and then we just packed up a station wagon and lived there, playing with the salt trucks.
That was a charmed life, I would say.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
I had a home, so.
Well, I mean, we could have not had the station wagon.
That's true. In fact, it is true.
And
So, hey, you guys, if you're walking around here, you want to know the real deal information about Chicago history.
yeah, you got anything that the placards just don't answer, don't go into
You
deep
ran
about?
into the right people. We're
Right.
the janitors, and we know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything there is to know. So just raise your hand if you got a little question.
What do you want to know?
Chicago
Come on,
history.
raise your hand. You gotta be curious about something.
Yeah,
You're all not from.
Oh, they're ready to bed.
Yes. Yeah.
Why do they call it the Windy City?
Oh, man. Oh, there it is. That is a question.
Classic,
Yes.
classic.
That's a good question. That's a classic.
So, they tell, yes, it does get windy, but there's a giant friggin' lake, and that causes a lot of, wind effect just coming through all the buildings. It's blustering.
Where would you think the wind would come from?
Yeah, that's
positive
anything.
question.
That's anything.
You know.
Now, the other one, politicians.
The other one says they were called windbags in an
Windbag
article that
politicians.
was written back in the day. But the real story, the real information, the gist of it. See, I don't know if you know that this back in the 1920s, there were a lot of gangsters roaming around the streets of Chicago.
Prohibition.
Prohibition was a thing. They were running this town. There was one little gentleman.
You may have heard of it.
Al Capone. Al Capone was his name. And see, Al Capone, people used to say that he would walk in, the bar door would open, and he would walk in as though he was brought in by the wind. By the wind. And so
It's like the wind carried him wherever he went because he could never be caught.
He could never be
He
caught.
up and vanished like a fart in the wind.
Like a fart in the wind was Al Capone. And that's how the city became the Windy City. That's it right there. That's the real answer.
That's it.
100%. That's a fact.
There you go.
So wait, who's got another question for us about that?
What do you want to know?
About anything else?
You don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What's the best way to get an Italian beef?
Oh, well, you just asked the two number one fans of
Right
Italian
question.
beef
Right
in
question.
Chicago. Right question next.
Okay. So, there's Al's, right?
Obviously, are you feeling beefy? Go to Al's.
Go to Al's. A lot of people serve up beef. You can get beef anywhere. Now, but Al's is obviously the choice to go.
Number one choice. If you want to be a
That's what you
tourist, go to Portillo's. But you can get that at Orland Park.
Exactly. And if you're a tourist, you're not going to Orland Park, so go to Al's.
Go to Orland Park. Ever. So wait.
Now you know why they call it Al's, though.
Yeah, that's there.
And you will know why it's the best.
See, and he knows this story for real because his cousin.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, my cousin's dad, so my uncle, his college roommate for freshman year, because he only made it through freshman year. His
He got
college
some
roommate,
fights.
yeah, his college roommate's dad's brother-in-law. So his grandfather worked with Al Capone.
Al Capone,
Al
Paching.
Capone.
What?
And this guy, he was like a deli guy. He was a bit of an amateur chef off the boat.
Butcher,
Off
I love the boat.
And he's got all this extra meat that's sort of like, I don't, not enough to make like a steak. Not enough, like, what do I do with
It's
this?
kind of like the shavings left,
Yeah.
what do I do?
And some low-level guys of Al's had just stolen a bread truck.
They just up and stole it, probably because they were hungry.
Probably. And they're like, there's nothing in here but bread.
Yeah, they were like, I thought this would have sandwich meat, and it doesn't. It's
And
literally just the bread.
Exactly. So they took it. So the guy's grandfather's father and brother, he told me that, you know, they bring this truck to Al's buddy, the chef, and was like, what am I doing with all this bread? He's like, well, I got all this meat shavings lying around from all the work I've been doing all day. And he's just like, yeah, just put it in the sandwich. And it was like, yeah, it's kind of dry.
Yeah, it was
Kinda
a little bit dry, and they were like, who would want to eat meat between two pieces of bread? I'll tell you who doesn't want to eat that, the Italians.
And Big Al. I mean,
And
you can't
Big Al.
just serve that up to Big Al.
Big Al, he was a guy, he was a soggy guy.
He likes stuff soggy.
He like, sometimes he would drench his spaghetti in beer,
Oh,
just to give it an
that's,
extra.
I mean, that's what they say.
That's what they say, that's the legend has it.
So they serve the sandwich up to Al, and he's like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah.
And he takes a bite, he's like,
It's all sticking to his tongue like sandpaper.
dunks it.
Dunks.
He dunks it in the juice.
And the juice it was cooked in.
He dunks it in the juice it was cooked in.
In the
And everybody's
tray.
like, oh my God, you're a genius. Because it was delicious.
It was delicious, and they
delicious.
had to eat it, otherwise Al would shoot them later. And that's what happened at the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
They didn't eat the beef.
Now
That
you
was
know the
Valentine's
story.
Day.
Now you know. Now you know.
All right, we got time for one
We
more
got
question.
to-
Yeah. What's up?
So what really caused the Great Chicago Fire?
Now there it is. See, now this is a good
Now,
question.
see, he
That's
sounds
a
like a
good
skeptic.
Yeah, because-
Skepticist.
Yeah, you're a skepticist because you probably saw the little miniature diorama over there and it showed you the fire. I hope you did because we dust the shit out of it.
That's the shit out of it.
Better pay attention.
Every one of those little figurines, pain in my ass. Look at these fingers. You think they do that well?
That'll do that one.
Okay, yeah.
So here's the thing. You learned, oh, Mrs. O'Leary had this cow, the cow got angry, the cow kicked over the thing, the whole city lit up ablaze. No, it wasn't.
No!
No, it wasn't.
No!
Here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about that. I don't know if you know Peggy Slattery, lives down the street from me.
Oh, yeah. I gave you that barbecue sheet.
Yeah, right. She's great. So her brother's organ donor,
Oh, yeah, bless his heart.
bless his heart, but it didn't take.
No.
He told me that he knows about what really happened in the Great Chicago Fire. You see, Mrs. O'Leary over there, she was a little bit of an arsonist.
Little bit.
Truth be told, she was an arsonist, and she was an arsonist who got into a lot of fights with people and would just burn down their stuff. And that was a known fact.
She was a bit of a nut bucket.
She was a little bit of a nut bucket. So that was a known fact. So everyone was like, oh, let's blame it on Mrs. O'Leary.
It's gotta be O'Leary. She's a nut bucket.
She's a nut bucket. And then O'Leary was like, wasn't me, it was my cow. So, see what happened was, though, was that she was involved with the little gentleman.
He
And
was a very young boy.
it was a very young boy at the time. She was the younger man. And see, what happened was she was into this younger gentleman, and she was like, oh, I'm being romantic with you. I would love for you to be romantic with me as well. And he was like, I am a young gentleman who would prefer to play.